Please welcome former Brazilian congressman in exile, the Honorable Eduardo Bolsonaro.
How are you all? Do you know why I'm doing this video? Because I'm showing to my father, and I'm going to prove to everybody in Brazil that you cannot shut down a movement by jailing unfairly the leader of this movement, Jair Messias Bolsonaro. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, to prove what I'm talking here, please, a very warm welcome to the next president of Brazil, Senator and my brother, Flavio Bolsonaro. Hello, everybody. Great honor to be here. Ladies and gentlemen, I know many of you are looking at me right now and thinking you recognize me from somewhere. You are probably thinking of my father, former president of Brazil, Jair Bolsonaro. Here he is with Donald Trump at the White House in 2019. They called him the Trump of the tropics because he was loved by the people and cared their values without mincing words. Here, he's speaking from this very stage at CPAC 2023, when many of you gave him a standing ovation. And here, he's last week in the hospital where he spent his 71st birthday under arrest, sentenced to 27 years in prison, imprisoned for corruption. Like all Latin American leaders? No. Imprisoned and convicted for 27 years, the rest of his life by lawfare, almost identical to what Donald Trump suffered here in America. The formal charge is similar to what President Donald Trump faced, insurrection. Sound familiar? But the real reason is the same. The greatest political leader in my country is in prison for defending our conservative values without fear and opposing the system with everything he had. Thank you. My father fought against COVID tyranny. He fought against drug cartels. He fought against global elite interests, against the radical environmental agenda, against the woke agenda that destroy families, that above all, he fought for freedom. My father was also Donald Trump's ally and the last world leader to recognize Joe Autopen Biden as president. They tried to assassinate him, just like they tried to do with Donald Trump. They could not do it. And now, he's in prison, just like Donald Trump would be if you had not fought successfully to save him. We, Brazilians, are still fighting, because when they imprisoned my father, they brought this man back to power. The same people who imprisoned my father took this man, socialist ex-president Lula da Silva, convicted multiple times for corruption, out of prison and put him back in the presidency. All of this under a flood of USAID money and massive interference from the Biden administration. The result? Brazil is living another devastating economic crisis, a public security crisis with huge expansion of narco-terrorist cartels and multiple corruption scandals involving even Lula's own family members. But maybe you are thinking, why should we care? This is Brazil's problem. Let me explain exactly why this matters to America and to the world. First, we don't think you fully understand the scale of what we are talking about. Brazil is larger in territory than the continental United States. We have 220 million people in a nation that is 90% Christian. We represent more than half of all South America in territory, population, and GDP. With all respect to our neighbors, just one Brazilian state has a larger economy than the second largest economy in the region. We control the world's largest freshwater reserves, vast agricultural lands that feed the world, and energy resources that could power continents. Even our neighbors know that our region cannot prosper if Brazil fails. Any Latin American policy that does not take Brazil into account is doomed to failure. But here's what should really get your attention. Brazil is going to be the battleground where the future of the hemisphere will be fought, because Brazil is America's solution to break independence on China for critical minerals, especially rare earth elements. Right now, America still depends on China for about 70% of rare earth imports, and China controls 70% of global mining and over 90% of refining and processing. Why does it matter? These rare earths are essential for computer processors and EA revolution that's transforming our world and the American defense equipment. Without these components, American technological innovation becomes impossible, and the production of the advanced military system that maintain American superiority falls into the hands of adversaries. Without them, America's technological revolution stalls and national security becomes vulnerable. And when America becomes vulnerable, the entire free world becomes vulnerable. So how has Brazil's relationship with the United States been since the man that Joe Biden and the American deep state worked so hard to bring to power through control? Lula and his party are openly anti-American. He speaks publicly about undermining the dollar as the global currency. He has aligned Brazil with China on a massive scale. He has opposite American interests on every single item of foreign policy, publicly criticizing President Trump's actions on Venezuela, Iran, Cuba, and the fight against drug trafficking. Most shocking of all, he has used heavy lobbying with certain US advisors to prevent Brazil's two largest drug cartels from being classified as terrorist organizations. Yes, even according to a New York Times article published yesterday, the president of my country lobbies America to protect terrorist organizations that oppress my people, launder money, and export drugs and weapons to the United States and to the world. And just 2 weeks ago, as proof of how bad things have gotten, Brazil under Lula canceled the visa of Dr. Darren Beatty, senior advisor of Brazil policy at the US State Department, the highest American diplomatic position for dealing with Brazil. Something unprecedented in our history. All because Dr. Beatty asked to visit my father in prison and evaluate his conditions. Yes, Brazil is now expelling American diplomats. Now, I understand President Trump is very busy making America great again and must maintain institutional relationships with leaders of every country, regardless of these personal preferences. And I know that sometimes, when surrounded by advisors with their own interests, the picture gets blurred. But I'm confident that the greatest deal-maker in history can easily see who Brazil's real allies are. But let me share the good news. I told you, we are still fighting. And at the end of this last year, my father gave me the greatest mission of my life, to run for president in his place in October 2026 elections. And let me look you in the eyes and tell you, we will win. I'm leading the polls across the country. I'm building a massive coalition. Business leaders tired of corruption, young people hungry for opportunity, families desperate to protect their children from drugs and crime. I'm building a movement Brazil has not seen in years, a cutting-edge conservative project that brings together the old and the new generations that will bring prosperity to the Brazilian nation and finish the cycle of misery and violence that the left is living as a cursed legacy. Just last week, even the prediction markets started putting me as the favorite to win the election. And when the Brazilian people, will once again have a president who fights against global elite interests, against the radical environmental agenda, against the woke agenda that destroys families, against drug cartels, and above all, fights for freedom and traditional values. A president who proclaims without fear that Jesus Christ is our Lord. Trump 2.0 is being much better than Trump 1.0, right? Well, Bolsonaro 2.0 will also be much better, thanks to the experience gained during my father's presidency. But America will also have its ally back. Brazil and America were made for each other. We share the same Judeo-Christian values, and we have what the order needs. America needs secure supply chains for critical materials, a reliable partner in the hemisphere, and a massive market for American goods and services. And Brazil needs three things: help fighting transnational drug cartels, investments, and technology. There is no nation in the world that can help us with this better than the United States. And we are aligned. No one can stop us. This is the fork in the road that America faces. Either you have the most powerful ally in the hemisphere, or an antagonist that allies with American adversaries and makes any American policy for the region impossible. So, some of you are asking how you can help. I will ask you directly. We don't want interference in Brazilian elections, like the Biden administration did to bring Lula to power. As I said, I'm going to win because it's the will of my people. But for that will to be preserved, We need free and fair elections. And this is a great challenge. If our people can express themselves freely on social media, and if votes are counted correctly, we will win. My appeal here, not only to the United States, but to the entire free world, is this. Watch Brazil's elections with enormous attention. Learn and understand our process. Monitor our people's freedom of expression and apply diplomatic pressure so that our institutions function properly. Instead of the Biden administration interfering in our elections to install a socialist who hates America, applying diplomatic pressure for free and fair elections based on values of American origin. That's a good chance of foreign policy for the region, right? My father sits imprisoned tonight for the same beliefs you hold, but his sacrifice will not be in vain. Next year, when I return to this stage as President of Brazil, we won't just be celebrating another election victory. We will be celebrating the birth of the strongest conservative alliance in Western Hemisphere history. The beginning of a new era where freedom wins, where our children and hemisphere worth defending. God bless America. God bless Brazil. Thank you so much.